Let's have a look at the most extreme version of the Bentley Continental GT, the GT3 Pikes Peak. 2 years after Bentley got the record for road cars at Pikes Peak, they want to demonstrate this year how fast you can be up the hill with biofuel. This hardcore race version is even more impressive if you remember where the Continental GT was coming from. At the end of the 1990s, VW bought Bentley and used its platform strategy to create a new generation of Bentley cars, the 2-door Continental GT and the 4-door Flying Spur. Both cars were based on Audi's platform for longitudinal engines. In other words, the Continental GT was effectively an Audi A8 D3 W12. But instead of using an aluminium space frame like the A8, Bentley used a steel body, which resulted in a 400 kg heavier coupe than the Audi. To increase power, Bentley turbocharged the W12 engine. Packaging-wise, that meant that Bentley now had the same Audi concept with the heavy W12 engine sitting in front of the front axle, which resulted in a weight distribution of 58-42. If you want to know more about the special Audi architecture and its historical background, check out my other videos. There were several updates of the car, but this concept was produced until 2018. The new generation of Continental GT then used the so-called MSB platform from Porsche. This one was created by Porsche around 2008 when they attempted to buy VW and parallel to that develop the Panamera. Instead of asking Audi if they could use their platform, Porsche developed their own with the engine sitting far more backwards. The result was a much better weight distribution and better driving characteristics. So in the end, when VW bought Porsche, they had two very capable platforms in-house. And they decided to put all future Bentleys on Porsche's MSB platform. When the new Bentley was presented in 2018, the wheelbase grew significantly, the engine went further back, and the weight distribution improved to 55-45. Even more extreme were the changes that motorsport specialist M Sport did to the Continental GT in 2013 when they presented the first GT3 version. They changed to a transaxle layout, pushed the engine even further back, and reached a weight distribution of 52-48. That seems even more impressive if we remember that they reduced the weight by more than 1,000 kg compared to the road car. Most of this weight will be saved in the middle of the car, in the interior, and at the back. So the weight distribution would get even worse when you reduce weight, but placing the gearbox at the back helped a lot. Now let's have a look at what they changed for the Pikes Peak run. As you can see, the main priority was to increase front downforce. The Pikes Peak routes are pretty open, so extreme solutions are possible. One of the main limitations in GT3 aerodynamics is front downforce, especially if the car has the engine sitting pretty much in front, and if the car is running wide front wheels, there's not much space left for a decent front diffuser. Also, channeling the air out of the front wheel arches is a problem. Not all cars can have louvers, and if the distance between front wheel arch and door is small, there's not much space for the air to exit the wheel arch. Cars like Aston Martin and Mercedes have an advantage here because of their far back sitting engines. But for a relatively heavy GT3 car with wide tires and a front engine like the Bentley, that's a challenge. And so they used an extended splitter to form a front wing with flaps and large gurneys at the side. Above that, they installed large dive planes, which create a strong high-pressure area at the front and additional suction at the side. By obstructing the side flow and hence increasing the pressure at the front, you also increase the pressure difference between cooler entry and outlet, which results in better cooling. These Bentleys use the upper intake for the intercoolers, and they will see more mass flow compared to the standard GT3 version, which will result in more power. At the side, they used high end plates to keep the airflow on the surface and to further increase pressure. Also, you can control the height of the vortices with these plates. They then connected upper and lower end plate, which looks like for stability reasons to support the long upper dive plane. The louvers around the wheel arch look the same like at the GT3 car, but they moved the exhaust further forward. This saves weight and avoids overheating problems further back. Also, the sound should be better with this exhaust. One interesting feature are the large additional air intakes they created in the side windows. At the back, we can see new air outlets for this airflow, which is likely for improved oil cooling for the gearbox. They also kept the original intake at the back. It looks like they didn't want to design a new tailgate for this version. The diffuser stayed the same like the GT3 version and cannot be higher in the center due to the transaxle gearbox. The one very obvious feature is the large rear wing. In order to keep a good aero balance, the rear wing has to compensate the increased front downforce. Wings at Pikes Peak can be mounted relatively high, and the higher you get, the cleaner is the airflow. Also, the angle of attack is more equal across the span. The greenhouse of a car is changing the approaching angle of the airflow for the lower sitting wings. Hence, they usually use different profiles in the center. And because such a high wing would create a pretty long swan neck, which would need to be beefed up quite a bit to resist the additional load, they simply mounted the rear wing from below. Aerodynamic efficiency was never the top priority for Pikes Peak, and the speeds are relatively low compared to other racetracks. They use a wide two-element wing with a relatively low cambered flap. I cannot see a gurney, but they could use different sizes when they do the setup for the car. In summary, it's impressive to see what a monster race car the Continental GT has become, almost 20 years after it started as a heavy Audi-based coupe. How do you like the new Pikes Peak version? Let me know in the comments below.